Okay, it is a time to introduce another Nobel Prize, which was given in 19th century, early 20th century, sorry, 1913, and this was something which you are familiar, Warner. So Alfred Warner, he was the first inorganic chemist who was awarded the Nobel Prize for his outstanding work in recognizing, in making the scientific community understand the concept of coordination bonding. So as I said, the Nobel Prize Committee always recognize the concept in the contribution in the form of a quote. So in this case, the quote was in recognition of his work on the linkage of atoms in molecule, by which he has thrown new light on earlier investigation and opened up new field of research, especially in organic chemistry. Warner was a very different type of person. I don't want to take too much of time, but then I have given many talks on Alfred Warner and his contribution. Not many people are aware that although he got Nobel Prize in chemistry for his contribution to coordination chemistry, or rather inorganic chemistry, but he actually deserved three Nobel Prizes. The one for his outstanding work on the nitrogen stereochemistry. Not many people know that he was the father figure who developed the stereochemistry of nitrogen. And his third contribution was to make people understand, or rather scientific community strengthen the knowledge about the carbon stereochemistry, carbon NMR spectroscopy. He actually contributed many things in chemistry. Okay, I'll not go in much details. So what Warner taught us in coordination chemistry, that if you take a suitable type of a ligand and a metal ion, this metal ligand bonding can be used to produce a large number of architectures. For example, I have explained in the form of a simple blue shapes and the red shapes. These are, like, the coordination bonding. If you take these shapes, say, clips, and if you take a right type of metal, then you can actually combine these two clips. So if you can combine these two clips, you can arrive at variety of structure. For example, square, rectangle, polygons, pentagons, hexagon, and so on. And then he has actually provided many examples. This is one example of understanding his concept. For example, if you take 4 4 bipyridine, and if you react it with a metal salt, you can actually arrive at a linear structure, a zigzag structure. For example, B. You can also form two-dimensional assemblies. You can also form three-dimensional assemblies. Similarly, if you take a carboxylic acid-based linker and react with a metal, you can also form a variety of three-dimensional structure. These are very important molecules which are coming in the literature nowadays. In fact, my research group also works on these material called metal organic framework. These are three-dimensional structure, very stable, very robust, and they offer many applications in variety of fields. Okay, the time to introduce the third set of Nobel Prizes, and then a very important contribution of these three scientists. First one is from France, John Perry Sauvage. The second one, Fraser Stoddart, although he was basically earlier at the University of Oxford, but then towards his retirement, he's shifted to USA, America. And then third one is Bell Feringa. Again, I'm fortunate that I have met all three of them few times. In fact, there was a time that I was supposed to do my second postdoctoral work with Fraser Stoddart. But before that, I got my job offer at the University of Delhi, so that did not materialize. But then, outstanding person, because his work was very fascinated. And then in 2016, all these three people's work was recognized for the Nobel Prize in chemistry. So now look at the quote which Nobel Prize committee gave. And this quote was for the design and synthesis of molecular machines. So this was the first time that the synthetic molecules, synthetic compounds were as good as that of machines. For example, I'm sitting in my office where fan is working, AC is working. These are machines. So these machines, how do they function? But these machines are macro machines, something very large in size. But these people, these scientists, showed us that even the molecule can perform the function of the machines, and complex function of the machine at a molecular level scale, something which you cannot even see. Now look at the importance of this type of chemistry, and that's why these people got Nobel Prize. And look at the importance, because these machines can perform complex function at a very micro, rather nano scale. Think about a person, a patient who's suffering from the blockage of arteries. So remember that angioplasty and angiography needs to be done. But think about a small propeller which can be transferred to the arteries of the person who has a blockage, and this propeller can actually go and clean the arteries. So without a person undergoing any medical treatment, particularly operation, which is very risky, the blockage can be cleaned. You don't require those stent, those balloons which are used for the removal of the blockage. So that's why this type of chemistry is very fascinating. I'm also showing a small molecule in the this third one. This is actually a molecular car. Just go to the Google and type molecular car race. And every alternate year, unfortunately last year because of the COVID, this race could not take place. I think the last one was 2018. So every alternate year there is a racing competition using molecular cars, and this is one of the car which actually moves very fast, which won first prize in Switzerland, I think in 2018. And this car moves very fast on a gold surface. So you can think that where exactly the science fascinating work in supramolecular chemistry is going. So I'll just discuss few example and then I will conclude. Okay. So the first example is the concept of catenanes and molecular knots. What is a catenane? So the simplest way of understanding catenane is the Olympic symbol. So in the Olympic symbol, you know that there are 5 rings which represent 5 continents, and they are forms a catenate. That means they are interconnected. Similarly, you can also, I don't know, some of you have probably participated in NCC, Scout, or NSS, and there you are always taught how to tie different type of knots, and every knot has a name. So this is one of the knot, but then you can see in this schematic drawing that I'm using a metal ion. So these are actually metal-based catenane formation and metal-based knot formation. Okay. So first example is metal-based knot. Now these examples are little complicated, little difficult. They will use the concept of metal ligand coordination bonding. They will also use the concept of various type of synthetic chemistry. They will also use the concepts of supramolecular chemistry, which we have been discussing for quite some time. So now you will understand that why I was discussing initially the fundamentals with some examples, and now these are the fascinating examples. So combining these all these loop ends together. Okay, so to make it simpler, so I will not rather go into much of detail of the synthesis. I will just discuss the beauty of the chemistry in these examples. So the first example is a molecular knot. Okay. So switching to this strategy so that you can understand well. Okay, so in the presentation mode. So now you can see that what is the molecule? So this molecule is a phenanthroline, two of the phenanthroline, and they have a phenol group attached, obviously covalent bond. And these phenanthroline rings are also connected by a alkyl chain. So what you do? You first go for the coordination chemistry. You take a copper 1 salt. Copper 1 forms a very stable base complex with the phenanthroline. Remember that the same base chelated complex with the copper. Now, as these phenanthroline rings are connected by alkyl chain, so because of the geometrical reason, one phenanthroline will coordinate one metal ion, and the second part of the phenanthroline will actually coordinate or rather hold a second metal ion. So you can see in this structure here. Now, once that happens, you have the free OH groups. So what you do next? You take a long ether chain having iodo end groups. So these iodo end group, you do the metathesis reaction. That means you functionalize this OH group with the iodo using a base, which is cesium carbonate in DMF, and then you combine. So I hope you can see that. So these loose phenolic ends have been combined by the Sethar linkage. The next thing is that you remove the copper. How to remove copper? Obviously, cyanide is a very powerful species to remove copper as a copper cyanide. So then you have removed the copper from the complex. Now, how does this complex looks like? So this is the chemical structure of this molecule, and this is the structure of this molecule, and this is the trefoil molecular knot. Now you may see that it's a very fascinating structure, but then it also can be, made to rotate. If you flash light or if you use acid-base chemistry, that means if you change the pH of the solution, this, these ends of the knot, trefoil knot, can also be rotated. So very interesting molecule. Second example, again, to make you understand, I have removed most of the chemistry part. This example is about, this catenin formation. So this difficult looking molecule, which has a combination of crown ether. You can see the crown ether. This has a part of it has a similarity with the bipyridine. So this molecule has been taken, and then you go and react it with another copper containing phenanthrolene, and this phenanthrolene has a phenol that has been functionalized with this alkene chain. So you can see there is a double bond at the end. Then you use a Grubbs catalyst, which is a ruthenium containing compound. So Grubbs catalyst, you know that it goes for the carbon-carbon metathesis. So this bond will be formed. So you form a bond, but as this bond sometimes is weak, so what you do, you reduce this bond. So this double bond will be reduced using some catalyst, platinum containing catalyst using hydrogen gas, and then you remove the copper. So now you have the molecule. How does it look like? You have the molecule shown on the screen. How does it look like? Looks like a handcuff shaped catenate. So go back to this molecule. How does it look like? It looks like a handcuff. A very interesting molecule. Again, not only a very aesthetically pleasing structure, but this molecule can also be rotated by photoirradiation. So that means now we are heading towards the molecular machines. One more interesting example I want to discuss, that's the boromine ring. So what is the boromine ring? Boromine ring is a geometrical structure in which three rings are on top of each other. You can see from this oval shape or this actual structure, and none of the rings form the catenate. So that means they do not penetrate. They are on top of each other, but you cannot remove any of the rings unless you cut one of the rings. So that is the geometrically very challenging. So this you will understand in a retro form. So this is the actual molecular boromine rings. You can see green color molecule, you can see the red color molecule, and you can also see the blue color molecule. And you see small these dots, silver color dot. These are the zinc containing, zinc ions. So this is basically a metal assisted boromine ring formation. So as I said, you will understand in a retro fashion better. So this is the molecule which you can see here. It's a combination of pyridine 2,6 dicarbonylaldehyde, which has been combined with this 2,2-bipyridine, which has 2,2-bipyridine, which has this molecule which has the loose end of the amine. So then you condense, and then it forms this compound. Once you add the zinc, it forms a boromine ring. Okay, this is the structure which looks like. You can see this gray color ball is the zinc, and then it forms a very fascinating structure of the boromine ring. A very interesting example, particularly one of my favorite examples, and this is the how to design a nanostructure via coordination bond. So this is also a geometrical challenge. So this is basically a design of a cuboca octahedron. So how can you synthesize the cuboca octahedron? Is by taking in a triangle and a V-shaped clip. Only condition is triangle has to be equilateral. So that means all three angles should be identical. That means 60. And this V shape should only offer 108-degree angle. Now I'm going to show two examples. First thing is, so what you require? You require one triangle and one V shape. Condition is V shape should offer 108-degree. So I'm going to first show two triangles. One is organic triangle. You can see that the organic triangle is a pyridyl containing molecule. So three pyridyl rings, which are originated from a phenyl ring, and this phenyl ring and the pyridyl rings are connected by a alkyne. That means a triple bond. And we can also have a metal-based triangle. This metal-based triangle is this tri-aryl containing molecule which forms a bond with the platinum. You can see platinum, and it has a labile group, triplet, and the coordination geometry is satisfied by two phosphine ligands. So remember, I have shown two triangles. One is organic triangle, one is metal-based triangle. So first example, metal-based triangle, and you require a V-shaped clip. Condition is 108-degree angle. So the clip is organic-based clip. So remember, metal-based triangle, organic-based clip, stoichiometry is 8 raised to 3, mix it, and the reaction is instantaneous. Immediately, this large molecule which has 8 triangle and 12 clips, V-shaped clips, form a 5 nanometer size cuboca octahedron. Now let me go to the second example, and you will not notice any difference. This is the second example. So what is the difference? I told you you will not notice. Difference is that triangle is organic triangle and V-shaped molecule is platinum containing molecule. Now let me go back and forth. You will see the difference. Metal-based triangle, organic triangle. Organic V-shaped clip, metal V-shaped clip. Both the reaction, look at the condition, dichloromethane, room temperature, 10 minutes. Actually, it doesn't take even 10 minutes. They have written 10 minutes. It's like you mix it, immediately it forms quantitative formation of this cuboca octahedron where the size is 5 nanometer in both cases. Okay, I'll probably skip some of these examples because these are, you can use hydrogen bonds for assembling some calixarin molecule. And then you look at this capsule which is formed. This capsule is formed by the operation of 60 hydrogen bonds, 24 intramolecular, 12 intermolecular, and 24 intermolecular calixarin water hydrogen bonds. This is an interesting example again using hydrogen bonding. So what someone has done is like, in a single molecule, they have combined the, the important features of guanine and the cytosine in a single molecule. So when you go for the self-assembly of this molecule, it forms a very interesting self-assemble, structure, just like a compact disc, CD disc. And these type of discs are called rosette discs. And actually, you form a variety of rosette macrocycles. You can also functionalize. These are, supramolecular chemist solution for the carbon nanotubes because carbon nanotubes are difficult to functionalize. And rosette can be created to create variety of nanotubes with variety of functional groups. These are some examples they can use for transportation of drugs, transportation of gene. They can also be used for retrieving cations and anions from the solution. For example, people have also functionalized crown ether. So if you dip it this molecule in a solution which is contaminated by cations, it can retrieve all the cations. Very fascinating work. Okay, last I think 2-3 minutes I'll be discussing about, or maybe 5 minutes I'll be discussing about molecular machines. So what is a machine? I told you that in my office fan is functioning. Fan has a rotor. You can see that how does the fan function? It has a rotor and it has an axle. So the axle rotates around the rotor, and that's why there is a movement. Idea is that can you replicate this machine to molecular machine? So that means can you prepare a rotor and an axle using molecules? So I'll be showing some example. One example is rotor. Another example is piston. Piston is normally you see in vehicles, for example, cars and other vehicles, piston. So the first example is piston. Again, because this chemistry is a little bit difficult, challenging, so I'll not talk about their chemistry part. But I think by this time you must have understand a combination of synthetic chemistry, a combination of coordination chemistry, a combination of supramolecular interactions. They work in tandem, and that's why you reach a stage of molecular machines. Okay, so what you see here is a C3 symmetric, very large crown ether. So you can see this is one of the crown ether cavity, second and third. And you also take a C3 symmetric molecule. The only thing is this molecule has been protonated, so instead of NH, you have a NH2 groups. What will happen once you react, mix these two things together? Remember the crown ether, because of the oxygen atom, the cavity has a negative charge, del negative charge. And as these NH2 groups have positive charge, so this positive charge will try to go to the negative charge oxygen-based cavity. Now, as molecule has a C3 symmetry, both the host as well as the guest, and also the central part of the cavity has a three arene rings, and this has a three phenyl rings. So there is a match between the arene and the phenyl ring, and they will also form pi-pi stacking. So I will show in a schematic way, and then you insert this molecule. The once you mix it, because of the charge matching between the host and the guest, these three parts will go inside. You can see the positive charge, but then once it goes inside, it can also come out. So to avoid this molecule to come out, what you do, you take the help of a click chemistry, and that's why now you will understand that why azide group was there. So remember that azide group immediately forms a triazole ring with a alkyne molecule, and that's alkyne means a triple bond, and then you form this triazole ring. Only thing is that it has a large functional group, so the molecule which goes inside the cavity cannot come out, and that's what I have shown it by a dumbbell. So now you have a piston. So piston should actually move up and down. For example, piston has a two part, and this part should move up and down, and that's what you see in the vehicles. If you check the engine of any scooter, motorcycle, car, they all have a piston. So that means there's a moving part which goes up and down. Now, how does this function? This function by the change of pH. Now you will understand, as a chemist, you will understand immediately. So these NH2 group which are positive charge, if you remove the H, that is a proton, if you make the solution alkaline, this NH2 will become NH, and because of that, the affinity of a positive charge towards the crown ether will disappear. So the piston will try to come out, move up. You change the pH, that means you decrease the pH, it will go down. So just by changing the pH from acid to alkaline, you can allow this piston to move up and down. So you can think about this can actually function as a pacemaker, but a very small molecular level pacemaker which can actually increase the blood circulation inside the patient's body. I have many such examples. This is another example. I told you about the rotor. So I'll just go to the final molecule. So you can see it's a combination of hydrogen bonding. You deprotonate this bulky phenol. It forms hydrogen bond with this amidic NH group. Take do the synthetic chemistry. That means you take this bromo containing compound. It forms this react with this phenolate, and then it forms an axle, and then this axle can be rotated along this loop which is amide containing. You can see this hydrogen bond. Once you irradiate, it will form hydrogen bond from on the one side of the amide group. You irradiate, it will form hydrogen bond on the other side of the molecule. So this hydrogen bonding based irradiation based hydrogen bonding can be used to rotate this molecule in this system. Another example of molecular rotor. This is a pH based rotor, in which you again see the synthetic chemistry, supramolecular chemistry working together, and then you have an axle and a rotor, and this phenolate forms a hydrogen bond with this amide group. You protonate, this hydrogen bonding will disappear. You deprotonate, again forms a hydrogen bonding. So just by the change of pH, you can actually allow this rotation of the molecule. So these are some examples. We all take printout using printer. This is an example of rewritable ink. People are working on. In fact, one of my friends from ISR Kolkata, he is sometime back has prepared some molecule in which something can be written on a paper using a printer, and you leave it in sunlight. Everything disappear. You keep it in dark. You can again print, so it can be used for the writing and erasing. This is an example of extension cord. We, whenever in our household, if we require some sort of gadget to be used, but then we don't have a long wire, so we connect it with an extension. So this is an molecular extension cord. So you can actually, keep on passing electron density from one part of the molecule to the other part of the molecule. This is some example of drug delivery as well as RNA delivery as well as DNA delivery. These are being used for the genetic engineering purposes. This is we are all suffering from the COVID. I'm talking to you virtually is because none of us are traveling to many places. This is an example that even synthetic chemistry can be used to create synthetic viruses as well as bacteria. We all know there are theories that even the coronavirus is not a naturally occurring virus but a lab synthesized virus. But then it's a fact that these type of viruses can be synthesized. This is an example of drug delivery using the micelle formation, using a vesicle formation. So many things, these type of things are going on. This is again an example. I think this is the last slide I have. So this is why I want to discuss at the last is because sometimes we all feel that hydrophilic and hydrophobic interactions are very weak. True, but even these type of weak interactions can be used to create micelle, reverse micelle, which can be used to create vesicles. In fact, synthetic cell has been created, synthetic DNA has been created. Now people are working on, going for the replication of this synthetic cells. So I think that is what is going to happen soon. And I must thank University of Delhi and all of you for listening to my talk. Okay, so let me end uh, my presentation, and I hope that I was able to show you some examples, and these examples will encourage some of you to take up supramolecular chemistry as coming towards to do research in this fascinating area of modern research, modern research in today's time. Thank you very much.